Good morning, everybody. Well, actually, no, afternoon. It has just gone 12 here in Durham. Don't know where it is where you are, but we are just about to enter Prime Minister's questions in the House of Commons. They're just finishing off the Welsh questions, the questions about Wales. Big shout out to everyone in the chat. We've got Vendetta, we've got Blah Blah, we've got One Angry Pagan, we've got Diz. Hey, everybody. If you'd like to join our friends in the chat, just hit subscribe. And now we're going to go over to House of Parliament. Oh, hang on, no. No, they're still talking about North Wales.
Rail infrastructure. The last Conservative government committed to at least £1 billion to upgrade and electrify the railway lines from Crewe and Warrington through Chester into North Wales. This Labour government has scrapped those transformational plans at a time when economic growth is a priority. Will she seek to reinstate the vital rail infrastructure investment in the Mersey-Dean North Wales region?
Will she? I don't know.
Well, that
she
money
might.
Just didn't exist. And we are investing a historic £445 million into Welsh Rail to right years of underfunding by previous governments and unleashing Wales' economic potential.
Nope,
this
no,
will
you're
mean
not.
new stations, faster trains on key lines,
PMQs is a bit late.
Well paid and better.
PMQs is a bit late today. Sorry about that. Not my fault. I was on time. About 2 minutes past 12. She did just say deliver. You missed it.
Before we come to Prime Minister's questions, can I welcome in the gallery the Honourable Speaker of the Parliament of Sri Lanka and his delegation. We now come to questions to Prime Minister Nick Smith.
Number one, please, Mr. Speaker.
Prime Minister.
He wants to go through a wee.
Mr. Speaker, the scenes of destruction emerging from Jamaica are truly shocking. Both the Foreign Secretary and I have been in close contact with our Jamaican counterparts in recent days to offer the UK's full support. Mr. Speaker, I can update the House that HMS Trent and specialist rapid deployment teams are pre-positioned in the region, and we stand ready to provide humanitarian support. Mr. Speaker, Awab Ishaq died 5 years ago from a respiratory condition caused by exposure to black mould in his flat in Rochdale. He was just 2 years old. No child should grow up without the safety and security of a decent home. For far too long, millions of people have lived at the mercy of rogue landlords and insecure contracts. Labour is ending that. Despite the best efforts of the Tories and Reform who voted against it, our Renters' Rights Act is now law, including Awab's law. Fighting for working people, that's the difference a Labour government makes. And on that issue, Mr. Speaker, this government has secured the biggest deal to manufacture Typhoon fighter jets in this country for almost 20 years. We secured that deal because the UK is back as a leading and trusted member of NATO. A timely reminder for the Green Party, whose policy is to take us out of NATO.
No, it's not.
The Putin-friendly Reform Party, who would have no standing with NATO. And for the leader of the opposition, you don't win NATO deals by not turning up to NATO summits. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others.
Good dig.
In addition to my duties in this House,
it's not entirely true about
such meetings later today.
I just want to point something out here at this juncture, right? Pulling us out of NATO is something that the Tories used to use as a weapon against Labour all the time. Although whenever Labour was in power after the formation of NATO, Labour never took us out. They never said they were going to take us out. So, yeah, I mean, the previous leader of Labour obviously didn't particularly like NATO because he's a tanky. But, you know.
Nick Smith.
Nick Smith.
Mr. Speaker, can I associate myself
another question?
with the Prime Minister's remarks about supporting Jamaica?
He just went for a wee. Just went for a wee and came back.
Across our country and in Blaenau Gwent and Rumley, off-road bikers are a menace.
Oh, yeah.
They tear up our environment and turn our streets into racetracks.
Yes.
After years of Tory cuts, Gwent police are tackling this now. So does the Prime Minister agree with me that police forces and communities like mine are seeing the difference that Labour can make in power?
Well, I share my honourable friend
softball question there, isn't it?
Everyone feels safe and secure in their community.
Oh, including trans people, Kia.
Was decimated by the party opposite, and we're restoring it with 3,000 extra officers by spring. we're also giving them the powers, Mr. Speaker, they need, including tough new respect orders that allow the police to seize and destroy vehicles within 48 hours. The Tories walked through the lobbies with reform in voting against our crime and policing bill.
The opposition, Kemi Badenoch.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last year,
Here we go.
in its manifesto,
Right.
Labour promised not to increase income tax, not to increase national insurance, and not to increase VAT. Does the Prime Minister still stand by his promises?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm glad that the Leader of the Opposition is now finally talking about the economy. I can update the House, Mr. Speaker. Retail sales are higher than expected. Inflation is lower than expected. Growth has been upgraded this year. And, Mr. Speaker, the UK stock market is at an all-time high. The budget is on the 26th of November, and we will lay out our plans. But I can tell the House now that we will build a stronger economy, we will cut NHS waiting lists and deliver a better future for our country.
Deliver!
Well, Mr. Speaker.
Didn't answer the question.
What a fascinating answer. It is not the same answer that I received when I asked exactly the same question, word for word, on the 9th of July. Then the Prime Minister replied with just one word, yes, and then he sat down with a smug grin on his face. What's changed in the past 4 months?
Mr. Speaker, as she well knows, no Prime Minister or Chancellor will ever set out their plans in advance. But, Mr. Speaker, I can say this, Mr. Speaker, because the figures on the productivity review that's being undertaken, this is a judgment on their record in office. Those figures are now coming through, and they confirm that the Tories did even more damage to the economy than we previously thought. Now, we will turn that around. We've already delivered the fastest growth in the G7 in the first half of this year. 5 interest rate cuts in a row. Trade deals with the US, EU and India. They broke the economy. We're fixing it.
Mr. Speaker,
Can't really
he
argue
says
with that.
no Prime Minister or Chancellor will say these things before the budget. Has he told his Chancellor? Because she's been out there flying kites, causing constant speculation around the budget that is damaging the economy. All week, they've been briefing about tax rises. What we've heard is that he does not have a plan. So we have some ideas for him. Yes. Yesterday, they can... Yes. Mr. Speaker, it's quite clear that they need some ideas. Yes. On this side of the House, we believe in scrapping taxes on family homes. Yesterday, we voted to abolish stamp duty. They voted against it. Even the Deputy Prime Minister, or the former Deputy Prime Minister, who resigned in disgrace for not paying stamp duty, voted to keep it. So, Mr. Speaker, I will remind them, on this side of the House, we know that abolishing stamp duty is how we get young people on the housing ladder and get the economy growing. So why won't he scrap this terrible tax?
Only kicks in over 300,000.
Why didn't they do it then in 14 years in office? Mr. Speaker, as I said, the productivity review figures are now coming in, and they show the true extent of the damage that they did. And she asked us to take advice from them. We all know these figures are coming out. We all know that austerity damaged the economy on their watch. The botched Brexit deal damaged the economy on their watch. Liz Truss's mini-budget damaged the economy on their watch. So we'll take no lectures or advice from them on the economy. They won't be trusted on the economy for generations to come.
Not taking lectures.
That's why at our budget, I can be clear, there will be no return to austerity. That's what broke the country. No return to the instability of their mad borrowing spree, and we'll end the unfairness and low growth that squeeze living standards for working people. That's the path to national renewal.
Kemi Badenoch.
Mr. Speaker, Conservatives reduced the deficit every year until the pandemic. We more than doubled the personal allowance. We left 4 million more jobs than we found from Labour. We brought inflation down to 2%. It's nearly doubled.
Mr. Tufnell, you're in my sights. The pantomime season has arrived. So don't start it too early.
Didn't just someone say in the chat that this is pantomime? They left the inflation at 2%. Under Rishi Sunak, it went up to 11%.
Mr. Speaker, on our record, we brought inflation down to 2%. It has doubled under him. We left him the fastest growing economy in the G7. It is no longer. The truth is, they have no ideas. We're giving them some. There is another way to get growth. It's cutting welfare spending and getting people into work. Last month, I offered to work cross-party with him to bring down welfare spending, because he knows, and we know, that he'd rather dip into people's pockets than upset those people behind him. Instead of tax rises, will he work with us to find a way to cut welfare spending and get Britain working again?
Mr. Speaker, she talks about their record. Let's go through it. They crashed the economy. Inflation went up to 11%.
I just said that.
Mortgages went through the roof. Welfare spending went up £33 billion, and they want to give us advice. And they reduced the UK to a laughing stock. Because of our budget, Mr. Speaker, waiting lists have come down, wages are up, mortgage rates are down, and other countries want to do deals with us. Just on Monday of this week, the Turkish government signed an £8 billion deal for typhoons. Earlier this year, the Norway government a £10 billion for frigates. That is because of the budget that we passed, fixing the mess that they left.
Mr. Speaker, it's not because of the budget that he passed. I started that deal back in January 2020.
Oh, right. She started it.
I welcome it. There are some things, Mr. Speaker.
I love this. They're very quick to take credit for the good stuff and like distance themselves from the bad stuff, aren't they?
It's got nothing to do with their budget. We're lucky it's still happening. So I welcome the £8 billion deal that he's done with Turkey, but I will remind him that just last month, his Chancellor borrowed £20 billion. He'll have to sell a hell of a lot more jets to make up for that. And he won't rule out any tax rises. He can't cut spending. He is increasing unemployment. This man knows nothing about economic growth except how to destroy it. In his weakness, Mr. Speaker, he has caved into the unions with their regulations that will cripple businesses, costing them £5 billion every year. Yes, please do speak up, because I want every single business out there to hear Labour MPs heckling when we talk about the damage that they are doing.
Get the fucking line, twat.
Prime Minister, how on earth can he consider adding more burdens for these firms to deal with?
Diz, can I just ask, are you talking to Kemi Badenoch? Are you talking to Keir Starmer? Or are you talking to me? Let me know in the chat.
Mr. Speaker, she's overlooked the fact that
all
we
are valid.
have the highest growth in the G7 the first 6 months of this year, and that growth's just been upgraded. 3 interest rate cuts. Mr. Speaker, we're not going to take lessons from them. She's now introduced what I understand to be, I think she calls it a golden economic rule, this golden rule that she's now putting forward, very golden. £47 billion, Mr. Speaker, of unspecified spending cuts with no detail whatsoever. Mr. Speaker, let me put that in context. That would be 85,000 fewer nurses, 234,000 fewer teachers, or cutting every police officer in the country twice over. No wonder the Institute for Government said she's on shaky foundations. That's exactly what caused the problem in the first place.
Mr. Speaker, the fact that he has to stand there and make stuff up just shows what kind of Prime Minister he is. We had an itemised list. We had an itemised list of 47 billion. 23 billion was on welfare spending, which I asked him to work with us to cut. He refuses to do so. All he knows how to do is tax, tax, tax. If you work, they tax you more. If you save, they tax you more. If you buy a home, they tax you more. None of these taxes were in the manifesto, which he had 4 years to prepare. Mr. Speaker, he is raising taxes because he is too weak to control spending. He's blaming us, he's blaming the OBR. Last week they were blaming Brexit. Isn't the truth that with this Prime Minister, it's always someone else's fault?
Yeah. They were kicked out of office because they broke the economy. They won't be trusted for years to come. She can't tell us what her position is on the last budget, and she's got a phantom £47 billion with no foundation as we go forward. That's exactly the mess that they caused. They've not changed one bit. Meanwhile, we're fixing their mess. 5 million extra NHS appointments, 5 interest rate cuts, growth and wages up. That's a change the Labour government makes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As Palestinians try and rebuild their lives amid the rubble of Gaza, last night, once again, dozens of innocent people were killed by Israeli airstrikes.
Over 100.
What will the UK do, along with our international partners, to hold the Netanyahu government to account for its actions? And what more can we do to ensure that aid gets in, as the IDF blocks aid in breach of both the peace agreement and international law?
Well, I thank him for raising this, and I'm deeply concerned, Mr. Speaker, by the strikes, and that underlines the fragility of the ceasefire deal. All sides need to uphold President Trump's peace plan. It is the only route to long-term peace for Israelis and Palestinians. We are, of course, in close touch with the US and regional allies, pushing for de-escalation. Mr. Speaker, the scale of destruction in Gaza is unimaginable. The immediate priority remains getting aid in at the speed and the volume needed. Thank you.
We come to the Leader of the Liberal Democrats, Sir Ed Davey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I associate myself with what the Prime Minister said about Jamaica and indeed all those islands and countries affected by Hurricane Melissa? Our thoughts and prayers are with all those affected. And I'm sure the whole House will want to join me in paying tribute to Prunella Scales, Mr. Speaker. I suspect I'm not the only member of the House with a Fawlty Towers DVD box set. She will be greatly missed. Mr. Speaker, across Europe, in countries like Poland, Germany and France, we've seen evidence of dangerous Russian interference in their politics.
Yes.
Last month, the former leader of a major party in Wales pleaded guilty to taking bribes to make pro-Russian statements.
Yes.
The evidence shows Nathan Gill was a close confidant of the current Reform Party leader for years.
Yeah, disgusting.
So does the Prime Minister agree with me that it's time we had an in-depth investigation into Russian meddling and money in British politics?
Yes. Just say yes.
Comments on Prunella Scales. And on this question of Russian interference, it is a serious
Yeah,
problem
so say yes.
in countries across Europe.
Come on, let's do
including
this.
In our country,
Let's do
where
this.
It's a constant threat. And Mr. Speaker, for NATO allies, the conflict in Ukraine and dealing with Russian aggression is the number one issue.
Okay.
And that is why I have to say the Reform Party would be an absolute disaster for our defence.
Okay, but are you going to do an investigation?
We are a trusted member of NATO. We wouldn't be a trusted member if we were Putin-friendly.
A member.
We are leading the coalition of the willing, giving security and comfort to
Okay, but are you going to have an investigation?
That would collapse under reform because they're Putin-friendly, and it'd be a real threat to our defence and our security.
That didn't answer the fucking questions, Kia, dickhead. He said, are you going to have an investigation? Because an investigation could dig up some dirt on Nigel fucking Farage, right? Here we go. And we could get rid of the fucker. I am sick and tired. I'm sorry, I'm just going to go off the feed for a second. I am sick and tired of our side doing the right thing like a bunch of fucking lemons, right? Jack Smith, the special prosecutor that was employed by the US government to take down Trump over the fact that he stole a bunch of documents and had them in his fucking bathroom. They asked for them back for months. He said, no, I don't have them. I'm not giving them back. And there was so much evidence. It was a slam dunk case. Had Jack Smith brought that case in Washington, D.C., Donald Trump would be in jail right now. He would not be travelling around the world causing his own brand of chaos, causing women in Mozambique to give birth to babies that are HIV positive. He wouldn't have taken food out the mouths of starving children in Darfur. He wouldn't have done all the terrible things. He wouldn't have fucking knocked down the East Wing of the fucking White House. He wouldn't have sent the army to go and take out people in his own country. In Washington, D.C., in Chicago, in Portland, sending the army out to fight against civilians. There wouldn't be ICE going around, these masked Gestapo types doing all this. If Jack Smith had just gone, no, we're not going to do it by the way they want us to do it and bring the case against Trump in Florida, where there is a chance that the corrupt fuckwit Eileen Cannon might become the judge on that, and if she does, you're completely fucked, mate. They knew from the moment that her name was picked as the judge in that case, the case was over. They blew it. And it was their choice. It was their choice not to hold that fucking trial in fucking Washington, D.C. where the fucking documents were fucking stolen from. Because they wanted to do the right thing or something. I don't fucking know. This really fucking winds me up. Because we can sit here all fucking day until the heat death of the universe and talk about what a bunch of absolute shits these billionaire nepo baby fuckwits are, right? We can talk about that. That's fine, right? But what we really need to do, what we really need to change is the fact that we keep kowtowing down to these fuckwits and going, oh, well, you know, better not have an investigation into Russian interference in British politics because that might end up with Nigel Farage going to jail. The problem is what? The problem is what? Launch an investigation. Give us the fucking Brexit impact assessments. Come on, Labour. You dozy cunts. Right, sorry, I've just demonetised this. Oh, well, never mind. We don't really get many super chats on this feed, but never mind. This particular show.
Speaker, I'm grateful for the Prime Minister's reply, and I agree with him on Ukraine, but I do hope he will look at an investigation into this Russian interference in our politics. Mr. Speaker, last week I questioned how he can accept the damage of Brexit while refusing to do anything meaningful about it. The damage is clear, with the Financial Times reporting that lower productivity growth alone has blown a £20 billion black hole in the public finances, just part of the Brexit black hole that Conservatives and Reform will not apologise for. Last week, he rejected my plan for a new customs union. So can I ask him what action he will take to change the Brexit deal, or is he just planning to complain about it?
Good question. Another great question.
Russian interference, Brexit. There was a UK-EU summit earlier this year in which there were 10 strands to the change that we've already agreed in relation to relationship with the EU, including closer trading relationships, including closer work on defence and security, and that is an iterative process that we will continue into next year. But he's absolutely right about the botched deal of the last government, the damage that's done to our economy, and we're just seeing some of the figures coming through in relation to that. That's one of the reasons, or one of the factors behind the way they crashed the economy.
Jonathan Brash.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Football is a game based on fairness, yet brilliant clubs that unite communities every week, like Hartlepool, are being held back by a fundamental unfairness. The 3 Up campaign, backed by 72 National League clubs, including Hartlepool United, and championed by Hartlepool legend Jeff Stelling, seeks to grant a 3rd promotion place from the National League to League 2. This simple change will be transformational for these historic clubs, many of which are over a century old. Now, while I accept Arsenal may never directly benefit from such a change, does the Prime Minister agree that this campaign to put football first would help the new football regulator protect club heritage, ensure stability, and put fairness and fans back at the heart of our game?
Well, can I start by wishing Hartlepool United the best for this season? He will appreciate the structure of the leagues is a matter for leagues themselves, but I do commend his campaign and everything that he's putting behind it. I also want to pay tribute to the staff, the fans and the players at Sheffield Wednesday at this difficult time. Mr. Speaker, we've delivered the independent football regulator to stand up for fans and make sure clubs have fit and proper owners. The party opposite used to support that, but now they oppose it.
Just to answer SG's question, no, the Leader of the Opposition gets 6 questions, and then the next, then there'll be a question from a Labour MP, which is usually like, would you mind if I tickled your belly? And then it'll go over to the second biggest party in the opposition. So up until the last election, that was the SNP. So you'd have Stephen Flynn coming up and asking 2 questions, but it is 2 questions. But that they can ask more, they can submit as many as they like. Each of their MPs can submit a question. It's up to the Speaker which questions get asked. You'll see them standing up. That's when they've got a question ready to ask, and they've already asked the Speaker if they can ask that question. And generally speaking, the Prime Minister knows what questions are coming. It's not like the surprise. It's not like they're like, oh God, I wasn't expecting this. Do you know what I mean? And It is a bit of pantomime. It really is. But let's move on. Let's move on.
Robinson.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has a deep understanding of policing in Northern Ireland and the importance of it. He knows about the ongoing national security threat. Indeed, he knows about the additional costs of dealing with the legacy of our past. And he knows that the PSNI has been underfunded. He knows that the Northern Ireland Executive have rightly brought forward a stability programme for them. He knows that they are under strength, because New Decade, New Approach in 2020 suggested there should be 7,500 police officers in Northern Ireland. Today there are 6,200. But does he know that the Treasury did not look favourably upon a request to draw upon the reserves for a data breach cost of £120 million? Does he recognise that in Treasury terms that incident was unpredictable, it was unforeseeable, it's unaffordable? It matches the criteria that the Treasury have. To set aside that money in a year would be 10% of the overall PSNI budget. It is not affordable. Can I ask him, in engagement with the Chancellor, to think about this issue again and to ensure that our police service of Northern Ireland and the national security threat that they face is not hampered by in-year financial rules?
Well, can I thank him for raising this important issue, and I know it is of a real concern to him. Can I reassure him that I am in regular contact with the Chief Constable, John Boucher, and the PSNI on this very issue, as he would expect. As he's aware, we provided a record settlement for the Executive, £19.3 billion per year on average. We also invested £113 million in additional security funding for the PSNI to help address specific security challenges. Now, whilst it's for the Executive to set the PSNI budget, I want to reassure him that our commitment is to keeping people safe in Northern Ireland.
Alan Strickland.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm speaking on behalf of my constituents, Shannon and Tyler, who lost their 2-year-old son, Hudson, earlier this year. Worried about their son and calling 111, they were told he had gastroenteritis. In fact, Hudson had a twisted bowel and a few days later, after being rushed to hospital, tragically died. Mr. Speaker, Shannon and Tyler are full of praise for the NHS medical staff who worked so hard to save their son's life. They just wish they'd been offered an in-person appointment sooner, which might have given a more accurate diagnosis. They want Hudson's legacy to be better access to face-to-face NHS appointments for children under 5, so other families don't face this tragic situation, and their online petition on this matter has gained over 80,000 signatures. Will the Prime Minister join me in sending the best wishes of this House to Hudson's family? And will he ensure they meet a health minister to discuss their courageous campaign?
Well, can I thank him for raising this tragic case? And I'm sure I speak for the whole House in saying we send our sympathies and thoughts to Hudson's parents, Shannon and Tyler. And I'll make sure that they get the meeting that he's asking for. This is exactly why we're working to improve access to face-to-face appointments for those that want one. And to enable that, we've delivered the largest cash uplift for GPs in a decade, put over 2,500 GPs into general practice, and we're upgrading 1,000 surgeries to deliver 8 million more appointments.
James McMurdo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, earlier this week, I got to see the very best and some of the worst of our National Health Service. When my own daughter needed them, they were there. But when an 89-year-old gentleman in the restaurant I was eating in collapsed, it took over an hour and 15 minutes between my first call and the arrival of 2 exhausted paramedics. Basildon Hospital has just been downgraded to inadequate in the latest Care Quality Commission. Can I please invite the Secretary of State for Health and Social Care, or the Prime Minister herself if he has time in his schedule, to come and visit Basildon with me so we can both thank them for the exceptional work they do, but also get to grips with the problems they're facing.
That's the fucker who beat his girlfriend up so badly. He went to jail. He went to jail for it. Spent 21 days in a youth offenders institution, a young offenders institution. He's a fucking MP because Refuck got him in. Refuck sorted that out for him. And now he's been kicked out of Refuck, so he's an independent. Fucking monster.
Can I thank you for raising this case and the 2 examples that he's given? The downgrade at Basildon Hospital is deeply disappointing. The Care Quality Commission has set out immediate actions for the Trust leaders to deliver improvements. Our decisions in government have seen £26 billion boost for for our NHS, helping deliver over 5 million extra appointments. I would gently point out that he was elected representing a reform party that would dismantle our NHS and charge people to see their doctor.
Yes. What they want to do.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Reform say they stand up for the working class, but the truth is they never have.
No.
They voted to block the Employment Rights Bill again and again. So does the Prime Minister agree that it's only this government on the side of working people? It's Labour creating tens of thousands of jobs, like with our deal with Turkey. It's Labour getting rid of zero-hours contracts, and it's Labour protecting workers from unfair dismissal from day one.
I'm proud that we delivered the biggest upgrade to workers' rights in a generation, and the Tories and Reform vote against it at every turn, as they always do with any form of workers' rights and protections. And in relation to the deal that we struck on Monday, Mr. Speaker, with Turkey, that is a deal worth £8 billion, 20,000 jobs, 10 years of work in manufacturing with the typhoons. That is only possible because we're a trusted member of NATO, and Reform have been an absolute nightmare on defence because they would not be a trusted member of NATO because they're Putin-friendly.
Well, you're being a bit Putin-friendly by not having an investigation, eh?
Beginning treatment within 62 days hasn't been met by any NHS trusts for 10 years, a legacy of the last Conservative government. If this target had been met in every month of 2025, so far nearly 3,000
Wasn't he in Dad's army, Clive Jones?
would have started their treatment on time. Will the Prime Minister ensure that the National Cancer Plan, which I asked for a year ago, makes it possible for the 62-day target to be met, along with recruiting much-needed cancer specialists and replacing outdated equipment?
Well, I thank him for raising this, and I know this is personal to him. We are investing £600 million to improve diagnostic capacity and rolling out new radiotherapy machines, including in his local trust, I'm pleased to say. We have seen real improvements. 148,000 more people now have cancer diagnosed or ruled out within 28 days, but I acknowledge there is more to do on this. The National Cancer Plan will set out how we will go further and deliver the best care for every patient.
Mr. Speaker, the big four banks have been allowed to abandon our high streets, basically closing them with impunity. Between 1999 and 2025, my constituency alone has lost banks in Guiphurst, Newbingen-by-the-Sea, Bedlington and Blythe. In this, Mr. Speaker, is at the same time these banks made more than £40 billion profit in last year alone. They're absolutely drowning in cash. The manifesto pledge to roll out 350 banking hubs is to be welcomed, but its quirky, almost bizarre qualifying criteria needs detailed revision. Will the Prime Minister commit to a wholesale review of personal face-to-face banking, which would enable local residents and local businesses, alongside many vulnerable people, to access their own money in their own time on their own high street?
Well, can I thank you for raising this? And I know how important face-to-face banking is on our high streets. We have committed, as he says, to rolling out 350 banking hubs across the United Kingdom. Over 180 are already open. I want to reassure him that 350 is not the limit. While decisions over hubs are taken independently, they can be rolled out wherever a community needs one. And I'm happy to make sure relevant Minister follows up with details for him.
I will.
Mr. Speaker, I'm proud that the last government introduced the triple lock and we're committed to keeping it. But from...
The problem is one or two you're trying to catch my eye. If we don't get through, you won't get a chance. Might want.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It was a great achievement of the last government and we will be keeping it. But from April, pensioners with private pensions as low as £2 a month will be paying income tax for the first time. Now, last year's budget, the Chancellor was clear that extending the freeze on personal allowances would breach their manifesto commitment. So will the Prime Minister prove the media speculation wrong, keep his promise and guarantee that there will be no extension to the freeze on personal allowances?
The freeze was introduced by them. That's why it's coming in next year.
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member for West Suffolk, when he was an official, produced a devastating report on the Home Office. Reading it, it shows a department characterised by disarray and defeatism. There have been 12 Home Secretaries over the last 30 years, some better than others, but none have managed to get this department in order to deliver the services that people should expect in this country. Will the Prime Minister give the new Home Secretary the necessary resources and policy interventions to make sure that she can be successful?
Yes, she's bearing down on the challenges the Home Office, most of them inherited from the last government, and we will make the changes necessary, and I have every confidence in the Secretary of State to do so.
Fan of the House, Sir Edward Lee.
After all the hatreds in the world today, wasn't it a lovely moment to see the King and the Pope pray together in the Sistine Chapel? Doesn't it give us hope that these historic divisions can be resolved? And doesn't it give us hope that despite the fact that Ukraine and Gaza may seem intractable problems, if we have the will to preserve the freedom of all people to live in their own country, and if we have the will to have faith in our common humanity, these problems can be resolved and we can win through.
Can I agree with him? I thought the King and the Pope praying together was an incredible message to the world and very, very powerful.
Not doing any popish tricks.
That if we all work together, we can actually bring people together, notwithstanding the very many difficulties and challenges that poses around the world and in our own country. It's why, so far as we can, we should be uniting on national patriotic renewal in this country, rather than the toxic division that we see on some of the benches opposite.
Daniel Zeitner.
Mr. Speaker, Cambridge is one of the most intensive science and innovation sectors clusters in the world, and that success is based on openness to talent. Now, at the moment, in many American universities, there are many well-qualified people pondering their futures. What a fantastic opportunity, but it is a global competition. So can I ask the Prime Minister what our government is doing to make their destination of choice the United Kingdom?
Well, my honourable friend's constituency is just one example of why the United Kingdom is a world leader in educating and attracting the brightest minds. Our immigration white paper includes changes to make sure more of the world's best graduates and entrepreneurs start their careers and their businesses here. Mr. Speaker, we're also boosting our R&D sector with more than £86 billion, making sure we continue to attract the best and the brightest.
Alison Griggs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last weekend, I spoke to Paul, who runs Bar Humbug Sweets in Littlehampton. And yesterday, I heard from Matt, a tech entrepreneur whose British company employs thousands worldwide. Their businesses couldn't be more different, but they both told me the same thing. This government is piling on new taxes, regulation and costs that make it harder to create jobs, invest and grow. So when will the Prime Minister stop choking opportunity and start backing the people who create jobs in the first place?
Well, Mr. Speaker, our small business plan was widely welcomed by small businesses across the country, not least because of their input into it. But she complains about the measures we had to take at the last budget, including national insurance. He says chose to take. They still can't say whether they'd reverse them. They know nothing about the damage they did to our economy.
Janet Davey.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm wearing all black today, and that's to demonstrate my sorrow due to a fatal stabbing that took place in my constituency yesterday. Now, we all know that one death is one death far too many, but I've had 2 deaths in my constituency in the last few weeks. My community needs reassurance. Knife crime must end. Can the Prime Minister say what more his government is doing to tackle knife crime?
Well, can I thank her for raising these tragic cases which have a huge impact on families, friends and communities. And I know that she's a passionate and dedicated campaigner on this issue. Every single life that's lost to knife crime devastates communities, and that's why we've banned zombie knives and ninja swords and have strengthened controls on online knife sales. Mr. Speaker, we're also giving stronger powers for police in our crime and policing bill, which both the Conservatives and Reform voted against.
Glover. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I had the recent privilege to visit Fitzwarren School in my Oxfordshire constituents, Didcot and Wantage, the only special school that we have, and see the excellent care and education that they provide. Given the urgent need for more funding for additional special schools and to enable special schools to spread their expertise to mainstream schools, what does the Prime Minister say to parents and education workers who are desperately worried by his government's decision announced last week to delay SEND reforms?
Well, I'm grateful for him raising this, and I think the broken SEND system is the issue that's been raised with me more frequently than any other issue at Prime Minister's questions. That's why we do need to review it. It's not working for any of those involved, particularly children and parents. It is important that we get it right, and insofar as we can, that we get a consensus about how we go forward, and that's what we're attempting to do.
Mr. Speaker, a 4th patient has entered the glioblastoma drug trial set up in memory of my late sister. Today, we are joined by Ben Trotman, a patient of a similar trial in 2022, funded by the John Moulton Foundation. Since then, Ben has married Emily, and in March they welcomed beautiful baby Mabel. Can I ask the Prime Minister when the National Institute for Health Research will spend the 40 million given in 2017 for trials on brain tumours? Or will glioblastoma patients always rely on the grief-stricken or philanthropist for life and hope?
Well, Mr. Speaker, can I begin by paying tribute to her sister Margaret, who was a guiding figure in the Labour Party, and the powerful legacy that she left in helping us to tackle brain cancer. We are determined to improve cancer survival rates and hit all NHS waiting times in relation to cancer, so no patient waits longer than they should. And that's why we're investing £1.5 billion in new surgical hubs and diagnostic scanners to help deliver over 30,000 more procedures and over 1.2 million diagnostic tests.
Final question, Caroline.
Mr. Speaker, I recently met around 20 independent local traders in Totnes who are furious that the last bank in town will close in January and that Link have refused to consider a banking hub. My businesses and constituents, 1,100 of whom have signed a petition, deserve better. Now, the Prime Minister has just told the member for Blyth and Ashington that a banking hub can be rolled out wherever a community needs one. So will he now back my campaign, ask his ministers to write to Link and instruct them to grant a banking hub to Totnes and to review the eligibility of rural towns for such hubs so that we can keep our vital high streets alive?
She's had a thunder stolen there. She obviously wanted to ask this question about banking hubs, and one of the Labour MPs has gone and stolen their thunder.
Can I thank you for raising this? And she'll have heard the answer I gave just a few moments ago. What I will ensure is that she gets a meeting with the relevant minister so she can put the case in relation to the banking hub in question.
That completes questions. We'll let the front bench change over.
Okay. Right. Oh, let the front bench change over. Ah, gradely. Right, there we go. Okay, so Hoyle and Bubble, Lindsay Hoyle. How's everyone doing in the chat here? Let's have a look who we've got. We've got Gallifrey and Ren in there. We've got Harushi. We've got Nick. Not lots of Barbie fans on the benches today. Oh, who wouldn't be a fan of Barbie? Barbie's awesome. Gallifrey and Ren. I wish they'll stop showing streeting. It's putting me off my dinner. That's absolutely fair enough. Can't argue with that. One argue pagan, given how the schism in Western Christianity affected societies across Western Europe, yes, this was a historic moment. Yeah, but I mean, I think if it had happened 100 years ago, then it would have had a bit more of an impact in this country. Whereas happening now, when church attendances are at an all-time low, I think it's a bit late. Do you know what I mean? Might have helped during the Troubles in Northern Ireland, you know. But no, we've done it now. We've done it now. Anyway, so what have we got here? Got Martin Harrow saying kids are taught to be the lowest common denominator, even though they could be getting ahead earlier, and they wouldn't take away from GCSEs as they're already beyond that level. Referring to something that Vendetta's written. I'm trying to see Vendetta's message. In some cases, but not particular, all 16 to 18-year-olds are worse than A-levels, but A-levels is way too much crammed in. Well, I think GCSEs are too much crammed in. It's like 10 GCSEs and all these different subjects. And it used to be a good chunk of it came from coursework. And now it's like all exam, like the English, the maths, GCSE, it's all exam. It's all on how you're doing on that day. Whether you got your headache, whether you come on your period, whether your family are having problems, financial issues, whether you slept the night before, whether your neighbours decide to have a big fuck off party and keep you up all night. There's so many factors that go into not just testing people on a one-off thing of just like, well, you came in and you performed for an hour and that's it. That's all we're ever going to take away from you. And that dictates your options for the rest of your life. I think it's disgusting and something that only two privileged pricks like Michael Gove and Dominic Cummings, both of whom went to private school, could possibly put together. And they did. They pulled away from coursework, which we know is the better way of doing it. We see this in the outcomes for young people in Finland, which is the best education system in the world. Two things about Finland. They lean a lot more into coursework. And also, private schools are banned by the Constitution. Yeah. Not just by a government who didn't like the look of them. They're banned by the Constitution. In the same way that Americans are allowed to have guns, Finnish people are not allowed to have private schools because of all the damage that they cause. And the Finnish saw it, and now they've got one of the healthiest, wealthiest, and happiest societies on earth. I mean, there's other factors that have gone into that as well, but generally speaking, they love their hugger. No, it's a Danish word, but Vendetta. Because teachers are variable. There's no decent quality in teaching in reality. They could raise the standards, so more complex shit could be dealt with earlier. If you want a streeting mask for Halloween, you'll find it hard to get one as plasticky as reality. Says Kirsty. Can't argue with that. Captain Coco Nut says, I understand why exam are given more credence considering coursework is easily done now with AI. I understand that, but assessment in class, I think, is the biggest way of testing kids' abilities and understanding of what's going on. Can you explain it? Can you tell us what they mean by this? But I find it ridiculous that all that pressure is put on kids for like one or two exams at the age of 16. Some of them are still 15 when they take the GCSEs. If your birthday's in August, you'll be 15. It's just, I was always better at exams and coursework. Got told it was something to do with the retention of information or something. I don't know. I'm better at exams. Just speaking purely selfishly, I would just, if I had the choice between coursework and exams, I'd probably pick the exams because I'm great at remembering shit. My recall's really, really good. Always has been, always will be, I hope, until I get dementia. But that's not my aptitude. I can regurgitate what the teacher told me about Handmaid's Tale. It doesn't mean that I really read it or understood it or took it all in or understand the themes and the politics and the dimensions of the characters. I don't need to know that. All I need to do is regurgitate what the teachers told me to remember, recall, and there you go. Bob's your uncle. Memory test. That's what an exam is. It's just a pure memory test. Wait, my stream highlight was still the guy in the pea green suit. Any reason to giggle? Says Gallifreyan man. Are you saying Erst streeting had gender affirming care? Well, yeah. Kirsty says streeting needs species affirming care. It is. I mean, streeting is quite unique, isn't he? Thankfully, but it's the fact that he's not just Labour, right, who you expect to be a bit more, socially progressive. But also he's gay. He's part of the LGBT community. And he's turning around going, we don't want the tea. Nah, fuck them off. The group of people have always been there from the Stonewall riots onwards. They've always been there, standing shoulder to shoulder with the community. In Priscilla, Queen in the Desert, it's 2 drag queens and a trans woman. Terence Stamp plays a trans woman. I mean, and you see the amount of prejudice that they all face, that all 3 of them face, but particularly Bernadette, the trans woman, who faces prejudice not just from the people in Broken Hill or Cuba PD, but also the other 2 gay guys. Well, at least Guy Pearce's character in that movie, who constantly dead names her and thinks it's funny, and that is, I mean, it was a great snapshot of the way things were in the 90s, but Wes Streeton's got an extra fucking mile on that, hasn't he? Fuck. Anyway, I'd like to see him gone, but a lot of Labour people fucking love him. They think he's great. They think he could be the next leader. Heaven forfend. I wouldn't like to see that. So anyway, I'm going to get off now because there's not much to say. Okay, well, I should really wrap up the whole PMQ thing. Again, Kemi Badenoch not really landing the blows that she should be landing. And look, she's crap at the job, so long may she stay in the position of the leader of the Conservative Party. But at the same time, I do want Starmer to be taken to task. And I do want him to answer difficult questions, right? And if she's got to stand up and all her questions are going to be, why are you so shit? And he's got to stand up and go, because, well, you're shitter. Okay, cool. And then Ed Davey stands up. He has one question about Russian interference in Nathan Gill, the leader of Refuck in Wales. And then he talks about the damage that Brexit's done, the Brexit black hole. And these are questions that I want the answers from Starmer. Why isn't he having an investigation into Russian interference? Why isn't he talking about joining a customs union? Why is he not pushing for this stuff that we know will improve the economy, which we know when it comes to the Russian interference stuff will absolutely fucking snooker Refuck because they totally took money from the Russians. Everybody knows it. So let's have an investigation. Let's get it all out. Stop trying to be honourable. Stop giving people who wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire. Stop giving them the benefit of the doubt. We've got to stop doing this. If Jack Smith had just brought that fucking case about those fucking documents in fucking Washington, D.C., we wouldn't fucking be in this position in this world right now. End of. We would not be in this position. Anyway, but yeah, Kemi Badenoch is never going to make a great opposition leader. She just isn't. She doesn't have it in her. So like I say, long may she stay leader of the opposition because she's so crap at it. I find it a bit frustrating that had poor old Ed Davey got another 40 MPs. Well, no, 20. 20 MPs, right? They got 20 more MPs and took them all off the Tories. They would be the main opposition, the Liberal Democrats, which might happen in the next election because I feel a bit more buoyant now that Labour, they lost in Caerphilly last week in a by-election, which had a strangely large turnout, but so did Refuck. They got their 35%, but that's all they got. Meanwhile, Plaid Cymru is running away with 47%, I think they got. Nearly half, maybe 1 in 2 votes were for Plaid. Fucking brilliant. Because of tactical voting. People didn't vote for the Greens. People didn't vote for the Lib Dems. People didn't vote for Labour. They all got together and said, oh, we're going to vote for this. And when people were asked, why did you vote for this? It's because they're talking about Welsh issues. They're talking about things that matter to people in Wales. Whereas Refuck are just going on about black people on adverts. There's too many black people on adverts. Rich people can't get these posh bank accounts that are reserved for rich people. You've got to be at a certain level of richness. And some of us aren't quite there. And that's disgusting. That's disgraceful. You know, if you've got £3 million, then you should be able to have a Coots bank account if you think about it. And if you can't, I'll kick up a huge fuss about that. I'd have it on the front cover of all the newspapers for a week. Talking about two-tier banking. You know, I doubt I'll get a Coots bank account. Jesus Christ. Note to Davey, says Nick, every Brexit-related inflation or fiscal black hole headline should push Labour to rejoin in the single market, EEA, not hand them an excuse to make Brexit work with more tax rises. Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, Nick, we've got to live in the Britain that we are living in at the moment, and only 52% or something want to rejoin the EU. It's not great. We're going to have to wait a few more years. Wait for a few of the people not to be with us anymore. You know, the people who can't be convinced. You know the people I'm talking about, don't you? You know the people. You know the. Whoa! No, I didn't say that. I'm gonna get into trouble now. Whoopsies. Okay, I'll be back this evening. Now, it was supposed to be 6 o'clock. I haven't spoken to Rach yet, but I will. I think we're going to move it to 8 o'clock tonight. It was supposed to be 6 o'clock. If Rach is up for this, I'm going to have to move it till 8 because I need to go to B&Q after 5 o'clock today, and I won't be able to get there, get the stuff I need, and come back before we start the show. And I can't go after the show because by the time I get there and faff around, the place will be closed. So, yeah, we're probably going to move it till 8 tonight. So if you want to watch The Rabbit Hole with me and Rachel, and we will be discussing, I don't know what we're discussing tonight. I've forgotten. Again, I'll have to ask Rachel. But yeah, join us for a session of 1 hour of just anything but politics. We're going to be talking about all the other stuff in life that we like or don't like or whatever. And we're not going to mention politics at all. Well, not very much anyway. So please join us for that tonight, probably 8 o'clock. But you know what you can do, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification icon, and then you will find out when it's going to be. Okie dokie, everybody. I'm going to hit the road now, and hopefully I'll see you tonight. If not, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Okay? So thanks for all the chats, and give us a like on the way out. You may as well. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.